Hi, I'm David Stein of Money for the Rest of Us, and today's video is on what you need to know about retirement calculators. There are two main types of retirement calculator. The first are what are known as retirement planning calculators. And the purpose of these calculators is to help you estimate how much money you will have when you retire. An example of Vanguard, they have a retirement planning calculator they call retirement income calculator. Now, the second type of calculator are retirement spending calculators, and they are there to help you estimate how much can you spend in retirement. How likely will your money last, or will it last? Vanguard's retirement spending calculator is called the retirement nest egg calculator. Now, sometimes the calculators are combined. A retirement planning calculator and retirement spending calculator are combined together, and Fidelity and Schwab do that. Now, we want to look at the assumptions for retirement planning calculators. What information do they need in order to figure out how big your retirement portfolio will be by the time you retire? Well, the first thing they need to know is when do you plan to retire? And so they'll often ask your age and how old will you be when you retire? And that allows them a time horizon to figure out how many years does your portfolio have to compound and grow. They want to know what your future savings are going to be. How much are you saving each year? And oftentimes they'll ask your salary, or they'll ask what percent of your salary are you saving, including the company match. And so they need their future savings amount. But they also need to know your current savings. How big is your current investment portfolio? And finally, they need an investment return. What will your investment earn in the years ahead? Now, sometimes it's hard to figure out. Sometimes they use historical returns. Some calculators allow you to put in an estimated return, such as Vanguard. And some calculators just ask what type of investor you are. So Schwab does that. They'll say, are you a conservative, moderate, or more aggressive investor? And it comes up a return based on that. So once the calculators know how much you're saving, how big is your current portfolio, when you're going to retire, and an investment return, they can estimate a portfolio balance. And usually they put it in terms of future dollars and today's dollars. And often they'll calculate or estimate how much can you spend in the first year of your retirement, either in future dollars or today's dollars. They'll usually just use the 4% rules. They'll take 4% times that ending portfolio balance and determine how much you can spend in your first year of retirement. Now, there's a critical simplifying assumption that most calculators have. They assume your savings, your new savings each year, the amount that you're going to save is increasing by the rate of inflation. Many of the calculators don't allow you to assume that you're going to actually save a higher percent of your salary as you make more money going forward. So what are the assumptions for retirement spending calculators? What information do they need to know? First, they want to know how many years your portfolio should last. How long will you be retired? And so you might put in 30, 35, or 40 years. They'll need to know what your portfolio balance is at the beginning of your retirement. And they'll need to know how much are you going to spend annually. In other words, what percent of your portfolio will you spend in the first year of retirement? So you can use 4%, 3%, and then the calculators usually then increase that spending amount by the rate of inflation, which is another assumption. What rate of inflation is being used? And finally, the retirement spending calculators need to know how the portfolio is invested. What is the rate of return? Now, sometimes they'll ask for a specific rate of return. Often they'll say, what is your asset allocation? How much do you have in stocks? And how much do you have in bonds or other asset types? Now, retirement spending calculators can do the analysis, including Social Security and pensions, or without it. Sometimes I just like to look at it without it. But if you want a complete picture, you can do your estimate of what you're going to get in terms of Social Security or your pension. If you happen to have that, many of us don't have pensions anymore. Most of us don't have that, but you can figure it out. Now, what's interesting about retirement spending calculators is they do what's called a Monte Carlo simulation. So they will either, based on the estimated return that you put in or using historical returns and volatility, they will run simulations, different sequence of returns for your portfolio, and then they'll calculate, well, what's the probability of running out of money. So if it's using a higher rate of return and you have a lower spending rate in terms of your portfolio, then the probability of running out of money will be much less. And sometimes they'll do it in terms of probability. Sometimes they'll do it in terms of just give you a score. But you can do different analysis. And the retirement calculator that I like for doing this is it's Portfolio Vizualizer. And I'll include a link below the video. This is a really cool Monte Carlo simulation because it allows you to use historical returns, but also to use estimated returns. And so you can do the retirement spending analysis and using it kind of do different scenario analysis and get a pretty good idea how likely will your money last in a 30-year retirement, 35, 40 years, based on different spending rate assumptions, different portfolio balances, or different rates of inflation. And so that's what you need to know about retirement calculators, retirement planning calculators, retirement spending calculators. Sometimes they're combined. It's important to try them out, but recognize what are some of the simplifying assumptions. Hey, if you liked the video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions on retirement calculators, you can leave those in the comments and I'll answer them.